York City street.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, cool. Today we are in the studio with Valerie Ghent, bringing you her new record, Valor. Hi. How are you, Val?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Good. You kind of go by Val and Valerie, depending, I guess, on what.
Well, Valerie, I suppose, is my official
The
name,
stage
but
name, yeah.
Val is for friends and fans, and I use them.
So sometimes they sign off as Val when we're talking, so I guess we're friends.
Yes, definitely friends.
So, how's everything been? I mean, so you're in Manhattan right now?
Yes, I'm at home. Been home for the last couple of months, like everybody else.
Yep.
In Manhattan on the West Village, and New York is pretty surreal these days.
Yeah, I mean, have you taken any walks with just, the mask on, or are you really trying to avoid going outside right now?
I mostly stay home. When I do go out for food shopping, I definitely have the mask and gloves on.
Right.
And there's a few times I've gone for a walk with the mask to take some photographs
Yeah.
of the neighborhood, just because it's so intense to see.
I mean, it's a historic time, obviously, and
Yeah.
we hope that this passes, and 20 years from now, you look back on those photos and just remember. And it's important to remember, and hopefully it doesn't happen again. I mean, that's the scary thing,
No, I know. I mean, for me, this is the third disaster in New York that I've lived through in my lifetime. So,
Yep.
yeah,
It's crazy.
we certainly have to keep our positivity strong, and that's certainly one of the things music is wonderful for.
Yeah. So let's rewind with Valerie Ghent. When did you first get into music?
Wow. I kind of just was born into it with family who were musicians. Both my parents were musicians. So just grew up hearing music all the time and was drawn to the piano at a very, very young age. There's a photo of me at about a year old, like reaching up like this to try to touch the keys.
And then you kind of just developed your songwriting chops. And, I know you connected very early on with Valerie Simpson and Nick Ashford. And so how did you meet them, and how did that relationship start?
Well, that's a pretty amazing story. I was actually on the road with Deborah Harry from Blondie.
Mm-hmm.
And we were doing a tour, and Valerie Simpson had asked, actually, let me backtrack, because those two things actually came simultaneously. I got a call to go in the studio with Valerie Simpson. She called me, and we did a session at her studio here in New York with her and Nick. It was a single for Capitol Records, and we did this first recording. It was a really incredible song, incredible experience for me to work with them.
How are you found in the first place to go into that studio? Someone just knew that you had the vocal chops and just said, hey, you should come in and sing some background vocals?
No, I was actually called in as a synclavier operator, because at the time I knew how to run something called the synclavier and the direct-to-disc system, which was one of the earliest digital recording systems.
Okay.
And I had worked with a record producer named Mike Thorne for 4 years during my college years, and he had a synclavier. And so I learned the system as I was his apprentice.
What is it called?
It's called the synclavier, S-Y-N clavier.
Does it show my age that I don't know that name, or what?
Well, at the time there was the Fairlight and the synclavier. So this is going back kind of in history.
Sure.
My father was friends with one of the inventors of the synclavier.
Wow.
When I was a teenager, a man named John Appleton, brought it to our house and set it up in the loft in Soho. And that's where I first saw it. So, but I'd grown up, my father had a studio in the house, and I'd grown up learning tape machines and how to record and write. And so long story short, I apprenticed with Mike Thorne, and then went on the road with an artist named Grace Hugh. When that tour got ended unexpectedly, shortened, I was looking for work. And so I went to the people who create the synclavier, New England Digital, and I said I was looking for work. And they said, well, I have someone that I think would be a good match. I just feel like it would be a good kind of connection with you. I'm going to give your number to, and I'm waiting with breath, what are they going to say? He says, I'm going to give your number to Valerie Simpson. I went, what? So he gave Val my number, and she called and asked me to come to the studio. So we did this record, I'm Hungry for You Again, I think it was called, on Capitol.
Right.
It came out in a film. And then right after that, I got a call to go on tour with Deborah Harry.
Right.
The two things happened like simultaneously. I went on the road, and Valerie called me in the middle and said, we really love working with you. When are you back? What's the tour schedule? When are you in New York? Because we want to work with you whenever you're in New York. And so that was unheard of, in the music business, for someone to wait. But we really connected. I guess I'm very grateful that we connected, of course. And so during that whole year, whenever Debbie's tour brought us back through New York City, I'd go up to Nick and Val's studio and we'd record.
For those who maybe don't know Ashford and Simpson, let's just kind of go through ring off the hits. Give us the hits.
Oh boy, ready? Okay. Ain't no mountain high enough. Got that?
That's a no-brainer.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand.
Yeah.
The Boss, Diana Ross. Ain't nothing like the real thing. I'm every woman. You're all I need to get by. Ain't nothing like the real thing. Did I say that one already? Records for Gladys Knight, for Diana Ross. It's like their songbook goes on for pages and pages of incredible, beautiful hit songs.
Well, I love to hear that. And you've had a long-lasting, this relationship has now lasted how many years? You're still so close.
Over 30 years.
Yeah. And what I love about it, because obviously my wife and I go see you play every year, the annual show at Sugar Bar, which they own. And it just is so cool to that show you guys put on every year. We love it. It's so much fun. You guys rock out the blues, the R&B.
It's awesome. No, it's really, really fun. The blues show,
jazz. And it's like there's a little bit of everything in there, and it's great that relationship eventually led to this too for you. But sticking back to you, so you kept going on your solo career as well. At what point did you put out your first record? Had that already been happening, or you did that after you built the relationship and doing background vocals?
I was already starting. I'd already put a band together. I was playing clubs in New York, like the China Club, and having fun with it. Done my first demo, but interestingly, I did my first record, which was called Unstoppable. In the same 4-year period of time that I worked on a record called Been Found with Ashford and Simpson and Maya Angelou, which was a really unbelievable collaboration of the three of them that I was very, very privileged and honored to work on. So basically all day in the studio, I'd be working with the three of them, and then I'd come home at night and make a pot of tea and then work on my record until midnight, and that was my life pretty much for a couple of years. We worked so hard on their album and mine. It was a really incredible time, actually.
Wow.
So both records came out in 1996. So that was my first album, Unstoppable.
And how did you know that this was something you wanted to pursue for a solo career?
Oh, wow. I guess I've just known that for a really long time. I think I knew that in high school when I was in bands. I was in a big funk band in high school.
Right.
I loved making records, and I loved playing live, and I just knew this is what I had to do.
Yeah. And you've always been comfortable being front and center on the stage and all of that.
That's an interesting, because I'm often I've done both. I've been the side, playing keyboards and singing background for different artists. But I've always loved being center stage.
So how many albums between 96 and now?
96 and now, I think we're up to 5 albums and a handful of singles that have come out separately, and then some other albums that I've done collaborating with other people.
Right.
But there's at least 5, let's see, Unstoppable, Day's Dream, 5 under my own name, and a bunch of singles, and then albums.
So let's talk about the 2 songs that you're going to be playing for us on this show. You got such a catalog, but I hate to just narrow it down to these 2, but we might as well talk about them. So what's the first one?
Well, are we going to start funky, or are we going to start like ballady and build up to funky?
Let's start funky. Let's get everyone on the dance floor.
All right, I'm up for that. So we're gonna start with this song called "Get Funky."
Yeah.
Get Funkay. It's a song I co-wrote with my guitar player in France.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love this song.
Well, it's coming up on 200,000 views on YouTube, so I know a lot of other people are loving it too.
Yeah, it's definitely a get up and jam, dance. When we play it live, people just go crazy. So it's really, really fun. So we want to start with that. And I'm going to I'll be inviting my band from France to join me on that.
Great. That's so cool. So that is a question I had for you because you travel to France a lot to play there. How did that whole thing come about? When did that start? And how is it that, tell me more.
Well, I've been going to France for a very long time. I love France. I love the south of France particularly.
I can imagine.
I've
never been, but I've heard.
My mother is actually born in Paris, which is not actually why I go to France, because there was a lot of, we lost contact with a lot of the family there. So I went because I'd been there during college and always wanted to go back, and then ended up making friends and spending a lot of time there. And over the years, I was yearning to find musicians there to play with. And in 2012, 2013, actually through Ashford and Simpson, I met this wonderful musician named Pierre Sabille, who's a keyboard player, singer-songwriter also. And we totally connected, and he put a band together for me there. So every time I go to France, which is a couple times a year, we do gigs. And they sounded so great that I was like, hey, guys, we need to record. Like, this is awesome. It's just so awesome. So we went in the studio, and we've just been recording ever since and gigging.
That's really cool.
And every year we do more and more shows,
Yeah, you've done some big events there.
Yeah.
That's
so actually, I was supposed to be there right now in May. I was supposed to be.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And I have shows planned there in July, but I doubt anybody's going very far in July.
Right. No, I think this might be a little much longer. I think we'll be lucky if by September this is back to normal. I don't know. It's going to be a while.
So in the interim, we have to just, keep our spirits up, keep making music, keep writing.
Well, you're doing a lot of that stuff.
So many new songs. I'm really excited.
Right. I'm glad to hear that you're writing a lot of new songs, and you've been doing you going online too. You did an Instagram live. That was cool, and I know everyone loved that. And you just played right there on that piano. And
right here on the piano. I'm gonna do some more. I'm definitely gonna do some more, and I have a couple of ideas that are a little premature to talk about yet, but I'm actually very excited by a lot of the ideas and the ways of connecting with people now. So
it definitely opens up some doors that you wouldn't necessarily do at a live show in person, and it gives the opportunity to connect with fans that maybe you couldn't have seen because they just weren't, in the cities that you're playing.
Yeah, no, I mean, on Instagram, I had people from, it must have been 15 different countries, all saying, messages and sending me private messages. And I was so moved to connect with people. I mean,
that makes me happy.
I mean, God, I started collaborating with some people I've met on Instagram. So it's great. It's really awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, let's talk about the second song you're going to be playing on the show.
Sure. Oh, we spoke enough about Get Funky?
Oh, unless you want to tell us more about Get Funky, you tell us.
So I had this idea. Walking down the street in New York, I had this guitar riff. I had the whole lyric, and I show up in France. I go to Jerome's house. My co-writer is named Jerome Bouygues, great guitar player. You'll see him in the video. And he's also mixed both of my last records, so my last albums. Great guy. And so he said, Jay, I've got this idea. And I started singing for him. He picked up his guitar. He's like, and I swear to God, in 20 minutes, maybe 25, the whole song was done. It was like one of those.
Those are always the best of them, Those are the best ones, the ones that finish instantly.
So we had a lot of fun writing it, and we had a lot of fun playing it. So,
awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. All right, now the next song.
Okay. The next song is very, very near and dear to my heart. It's a song called Love Enough for a Lifetime.
Yep.
And it's a ballad, R&B ballad, R&B influence. I'm safe to say influenced greatly by working with Ashford and Simpson for so many years and working closely with them in the studio all these years. It's what can I say? It's a song I'm very proud of because it reached #1 on iHeartRadio, and
that's awesome. Congratulations. Well, and I love that the song was added to SiriusXM's Heart and Soul channel, and because I remember hearing it, and what was that like for you when you heard it?
Oh, well, it was the first few times people were emailing me or sending me, they take pictures in their car going, oh my God, I just heard this SiriusXM. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because I didn't know they had added it yet. I had no idea. So
did you ever catch it yourself?
Yeah. Then later I heard it, and it was really beautiful. It almost makes you cry,
Right.
You see it light up with the name, and it's going.
it's very rewarding for all the time and energy you put in to know that people are hearing it, discovering it, and listening to it. And, wherever they are in the country, driving or in their office or, at home, it is a very cool feeling to hear your song on the radio. And,
no, and there were a bunch of DJs who really championed it and continue to do so. So I'm very grateful to them. They really connect with the song. And I've had musicians that I play with in France and in New York who all will say, Val, hands down, this is absolutely my favorite song to play with you. So
that's awesome.
It's a beautiful love song. I have to give a little credit to my husband because he helped co-write a few of the lyrics in the second verse.
All right.
It was our first time collaborating on a song.
Did he get registered on ASCAP, BMI, or?
He did. I said,
really?
Yeah. So because I had, it's one of those songs, I had the whole song, the chorus, the verse, the bridge, and I got stuck in the second verse, and he's a writer, and he's a wonderful man, and I said, do you have any idea? And he came up with a couple things. I'm like, that's it, oh, that's it,
I love how you made him get on ASCAP BMI, because, I could easily see it going the other way, just like, hey, we have the same bank account, we'll just share whatever the royalties are, but it's like, no, you got to get your royalties. Who knows, if the song becomes a hit, and, you both can get your own publishing deals and writing songs. And,
no, I find credits are really, really important. And
right, and that's the other thing. It's just getting the proper credit. You're an artist, and doesn't matter if the song how big it gets or not. It's if you wrote something, if you contributed creatively to whatever it is, a painting, a song, a film, you deserve your credit. You're right.
Yeah, I feel really strongly, especially as music's gone, online, iTunes, and we don't have album covers to look at anymore. With I used to pour through the liner notes, who produced it, where was it recorded. So those are all really important to me, and I make sure with every record that all that information is on my website.
That's really nice.
If anybody's interested can see exactly who was on which song, what horn player, what trumpet player, what percussionist.
Well, I was gonna ask you to plug where can everyone find you. So what's your website? What's the URL?
The URL is my name, ValerieGhent.com.
GHENT.
Yes. Valerie Ghent you can go to either Valerie Ghent or Val Ghent.
Look at that. And then what about the social handles?
And they're all basically the same, my name. So at Twitter, I'm at Valerie Ghent, and that's ValerieGhent.
Perfect. And so what's on the horizon? Oh, sorry, it cut you off for a second. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
So same on Instagram, same on YouTube, Reverb Nation, SoundCloud. They're all just put in my name. You'll find me.
Perfect. Spotify too. I love how we had one artist who's like, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, Venmo. but here's the thing. At the time he was making a joke, but really, actually it's really amazing. SoundCloud, because of COVID, has allowed all artists to add their Venmo and their PayPal information at the top of their SoundCloud, so that fans, if they're listening and they're loving it, they can actually go donate and really contribute to an artist who can't make a living playing live right now. But I know the artist at the time, this was prior to COVID, was making it a Venmo, Instagram, but it's serious now, and and it's really nice.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that SoundCloud had done that, and I should set up a Venmo account because I'm.
Or you can add your PayPal. You can add a few different options in which people can pay you, and as a gift or contribution to your music.
Definitely. Thank you for that info.
Yeah. And then what's on the horizon? Obviously, we're going to be locked down for a little while, but you said you're writing a lot of music. So do you plan to release some more tunes in the near future?
Yes. I have a lot of projects that are coming up that I'm very, very excited about. Several collaborations. I'm not sure how much detail I should go into yet, since they're all a little premature, but I've collaborated with a rapper in Genoa, Italy, on
awesome.
Coming out, which I'm really excited. A young guy who found me on Instagram. So
cool.
I just finished his vocal actually and sent it to my vocal for the song. And I'm collaborating also with a Vietnamese musician who lives in Paris, wonderful musician named Trina Nguyen.
Wow.
So I was working on that song today.
You're just you're a free spirit when it comes to the music world, for sure. It's great. Look at this.
I'm also really excited about a piece of music I recorded with my mother over 30 years ago. And my mom's passed, many years ago. But I've been wanting to do it, and now that I have this extra time on my hands is the time to do it. I've gone back to this piece of music, which is classical. Very classical piece of music, so I'm kind of going back to my roots. And that I'm expecting to put out pretty soon, actually. And that's for viola, violin, voice, and synclavier. Back to our synclavier.
Wow.
It's a piece of music she wrote, and I'm singing on it in Russian. So that's really on a whole nother level.
Okay.
So there's these. So I mean, there's a lot of different kind of projects, but for my own music, of this kind of groove stuff that I'm used to writing, I've got a couple funky tunes that are almost done, and I'm working on a blues album of some of the material you've heard at the Blues Night, which people have been asking me to do for many, many, many months and years now. So I'm really excited. And what I'm really happy about, Johnny, is we went into the studio last year. I don't know, last year I was on this recording obsession, and I just tracked as much as I could with musicians live in the studio, which is what I really love to do. So now, luckily for me, I've got all these tracks, and I can add my vocals and the keyboard overdubs and percussion, and I can kind of build on those foundations. So I'm really excited about everything that's coming up.
Well, you have just such a great energy, and your music is great, and your musicianship is awesome. I mean, you're so good and talented at the piano, and all of your vocals are crazy good, and it's just it's. Yes. Well, I know my wife and I love you, and I know that many fans out there already love you. So this is great, and we can't wait to see more.
I can't wait too. I'm excited to see that.
Thanks for coming on, Val.
Thank you for having me, Johnny. It's great to
Valerie
talk.
Ghent, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.